Well, it's not just in Senegal they're performing Shakespeare. With us from London now is Koel Chatterjee, a postgraduate research student focused on the influence of Shakespeare on Indian cinema. Koel, welcome to the program. Thanks for being with us. So, a famous Indian director once said that Bollywood wouldn't exist without Shakespeare. Do you agree?
Well, yes. In most Bollywood films, you can trace some Shakespearean influences. So I would agree. Yes.
So tell us about this influence. When did it start? How did it come about? And how did it evolve over the years? Because obviously it goes back to the colonial times.
Yes, well, Shakespeare was made compulsory as part of the Indian Education Act when English was made the compulsory medium of instruction in India in the late 18th century. And cinema came to India around the same time. So late 1920s was the first adaptation of Shakespeare with Dil Ferosh, which was an adaptation of Merchant of Venice. After that, well, it was a mark of status, it was a mark of education to actually know Shakespeare, to be able to quote Shakespeare. So pretty much anyone who went through the school system in India or who went through the college system knew Shakespeare, had acted Shakespeare, had been in touch with people who researched Shakespeare. So, I mean, it was inevitable that it became part of film as well. Bollywood has been working with Shakespeare pretty much ever since the 1920s. Lately, though, it's been more about protest, it's about expressing dissent with the government, it's about showing people or holding up a mirror to the kind of social injustices happening in India. So that's
tell us more. Give us an example of how Shakespeare has been used to express dissent and protest against the government, and also more about the social, perhaps, use and implications of the use of Shakespeare in Bollywood.
Well, in 2014, Vishal Bhardwaj adapted Hamlet and located it in Kashmir, which is, you know, the disputed state between India and Pakistan, which is still very much a militarized state where people don't have access to the internet, they don't have access to cell phones, people can just disappear for expressing protests against the government. So Hamlet is located in that situation. So the film was banned in Pakistan, and there was a lot of protest in India as well because it was termed as anti-national and unpatriotic. But it actually, a lot of Indians were surprised to see that this is happening within India itself, because the other parts of India, we had no idea that Kashmir was that militarized. Socially, of course, the same director, Vishal Bhardwaj, he translocated Othello into Omkara in 2006, where he's spoken a lot. He's kind of used Desdemona and Emilia to talk about how women are still considered the property of their fathers and then their husbands, and how their very identities are sort of, you know, in relationship to their father or their husband or to the men in their lives.
Sure.
So he's kind of, even when he translated or he translocated Macbeth to Maqbool in 2003. Lady Macbeth is in a relationship with Duncan, and then Macbeth wants to kind of achieve her as well as the crown of the Bollywood, of the Mumbai underworld. So there, her position is also very precarious, Lady Macbeth, because, you know, her position as lady of the house is kind of threatened.
Very interesting to talk to you about this, Koel. Thank you so much for telling us about Shakespeare's influence on Indian cinema. Koel Chatterjee joining us there live from London.